Hi everyone. This video is the second part of Kisses to Autumn. In this part, I will discuss the triadic structure of the Pindari code and the structural dimension of Kisses to Autumn as well. Now you know that Pindari code has a triadic or three-part structure. That is, Pindari code is divided into three types of stanzas known as strophe, antistrophe, and epod. Now, strophe in the modern usage means a stanza, but originally the term strophe meant a turn or a twist. Since ode was written for performance, the chorus used to sing that strophe part on the stage by turning from the right to the left, and the antistrophe that follows the strophe was sung by the chorus, who used to turn from the left to the right on the stage. Both strophe and antistrophe were followed by epod. The English meaning of antistrophe is turn back. Epod was sung by the chorus, who used to stand on the center of the stage. It's a kind of symbiosis of both strophe and antistrophe. After singing the strophe and then the antistrophe, the chorus used to gather or unite on the center of the stage to sing the epod part. It's composed to Autumn in the month of September of 1819, just 1 year before his death in 1820. And To Autumn is one of the six major odes Keats composed in 1819. 1819 in Keats's life was a very fruitful phase artistically, but Keats was suffering from various personal and financial crises. He was suffering from tuberculosis. His brother faced terrible financial problem in America, and that's why Keats was thinking of giving up his vocation as a poet. To Autumn is a perfect ode, and it is praised by many critics, T.S. Eliot included, for its perfection. The ode consists of three stanzas, each having 11 lines. In the first stanza, we have the rhyme scheme A B A B C D E D C C E, and in the second and the third stanzas, we have A B A B C D E C D D E. So the rhyme scheme of the last two stanzas do not match the rhyme scheme of the first stanza. In the first stanza of the poem, Keats has described the abundance of autumn. Autumn replaces spring to some extent in Keatsian imagination. In the second stanza, he apostrophizes and personifies the autumnal activities such as harvesting, reaping, gleaning, and cider pressing. These activities are very common in the countrysides of Europe. And in the last stanza, we see a kind of Keatsian predicament, because Keats is anticipating the advent of winter, and to some extent he seems to suggest that the autumnal abundance is illusory, it is deceptive.